Welcome, everybody, to Postgame Takeaways with Inside ND Sports. I'm Tyler James. He's the one and only Eric Hansen, and we're recording this from separate rooms in Eric's house. we cover Notre Dame football, recruiting, and more for InsideNDSports.com on the Rivals Network, and we are here to share our postgame takeaways from Notre Dame's 16-14 loss to Northern Illinois. I'm not sure anyone could have seen this coming. Eric, what was your biggest takeaway from an inexplicable loss in Notre Dame Stadium?
My biggest takeaway from just the game itself and not the bigger picture was how much Northern Illinois really ruled both lines of scrimmage. Not all the time, but way too much of the time for a team that shouldn't have been able to do that. Especially their offensive line versus Notre Dame's defensive line. That was stunning to me. There are big picture things I know that we're going to get into, but that was the thing that I really noticed. And I'll tell you what, I mean, Northern Illinois dunked on Notre Dame toward the end of that game. They went for a 4th and 2 when they could have kicked a long field goal. And they thought, well, we're going to get closer because we think we can get 2 yards on you guys. And they were able to. So how about you?
Yeah, I think you got to go to the offense in general. And to me, I think there's a number of different things offensively, but my biggest thing is just like, what is Notre Dame's offensive identity right now? Like, go do something spectacular, Jeremiah Love. Like, that's been Notre Dame's offense the first couple of games is Jeremiah Love and Jadarian Price doing something incredible, or Riley Leonard doing things with his legs mostly rather than through the air. Certainly the rushing touchdown that Jeremiah Love had today was spectacular, but the running game in general I don't think was reliable enough. And that's in part because of the offensive line, in part because Notre Dame doesn't really have a potent passing game right now.
Right. So from a big picture standpoint, I wrote this in my column. We've seen movies similar to this before. In 2012, when Notre Dame played for the national championship, they had a game like this against Purdue at home after a big win in Ireland against Navy. In 2021, it was Toledo that they survived, and that was a team that almost made the playoff. 2018, it was a Ball State team that was way worse than this Northern Illinois team, and that was a one-possession game with Ball State having a chance to win it, and a team that eventually made the playoff. But this one smells different because, for me, Tyler, Notre Dame should have been beyond this. At this stage of the evolution of the program, they shouldn't have been able to lose to a 4-touchdown underdog. Maybe having some difficult quarters against them, yes, but not losing to them.
Yeah, and regardless of the stage of the program, like the loss to Marshall feels very similar, right? And that, like, it's not like the outcome of this game feels like it should have been the other way, right? If you just like look at the game, this felt like a game Northern Illinois should have won. Notre Dame never felt like a dominant team in this game at all. It seemed like Northern Illinois was almost from start to finish the better team and deserved to win this game, which is not something you're expecting to see when a MAC team comes into Notre Dame Stadium. But that is what we saw. To me, the concerns about Notre Dame's passing game are now warranted. I gave Riley Leonard a pass for the Texas A&M game because of everything that came with it, the hostile environment, his first game in this offense, and inexperienced offensive line, but it has to be better than what it was today. 20 for 32 for 163 yards with a pair of interceptions. Bad throws
Western
and decisions.
Illinois' quarterback had a better day against Northern Illinois than Riley Leonard did. So,
yeah, his first interception he threw into a crowd. It was a late throw. The second one, I just don't know. Like, he just didn't throw it far enough and didn't give Chris Mitchell a chance to get to the ball. He said he had bad feet. It was a bad throw. Bad read as well. So the longest completion of the day is a 19-yarder for Notre Dame's passing game. Certainly the receivers have to make plays, and the pass protection needs to get better. This isn't all on Riley Leonard. Everyone involved needs to improve right now.
Right. In total, I mean, Northern Illinois outrushed Notre Dame. They outgained them. The 286 yards Notre Dame put up today, That's the fewest that they've had against a group of 5 opponent since 1997, Bob Davies' first year as head coach.
Oh, no.
They had 283 against Navy, and they won that game very narrowly.
What did you think of Notre Dame's defense today?
I was surprised at how few answers they had for the running game. I think Antonio Brown is a really good running back, and I think he probably will play at the next level. And he has a 6.3 yard per carry average for his career. He was recruited by Power 5 schools. He was committed to South Carolina for a while before decommitting and going to Northern Illinois. But Notre Dame really needed to this year improve in their run defense. Their losses last year were games in which they got gashed in the run, and that happened today against a team it shouldn't have happened against. And so that was really concerning to me. And I know Howard Cross talked about, well, they kind of tricked us with some things. Well, that's why you have a really good defensive coordinator in Al Golden that needs to be able to fix those things at halftime. And Notre Dame did only, 3 points in the second half, but Northern Illinois was still able to move the ball on the ground to chew up clock, to position themselves for a game-winning field goal. And that was, I think Marcus put it well, that was not the defense they've had for the last 3 or 4 years.
Yeah, not the defense they had last week, right?
Yeah.
They gave up Notre Dame gave up as many points on its first 3 defensive series that it did the entire game against Texas A&M. So, yeah, you look at the final score, you're giving up 16 points. That's enough points for Notre Dame's offense to outscore the opposing team. But the defense didn't do a good enough job. Like it put the offense in tougher positions by not taking allowing Notre Dame to build a lead in the first quarter. Gave up big plays on all 3 of those first 3 series, all to Antonio Brown. But yes, they might have been doing some different things, but the one is just a pass to a receiver out of the backfield who motioned into the slot and just makes a nice play for the 80-plus yard touchdown. One was a real wheel route out of the backfield. This isn't rocket science. And one was just an outside run where he sort of hesitates behind the line. And I think that got Jalen Sneed and Xavier Watts out of position to be able to prevent him from getting less than 20 yards on the first play of the second series for Northern Illinois. So, yeah, I think you expect better from Notre Dame's defense. All told, giving up 6 yards per play, that's a shocking number. And yeah, just on the final drive, yes, that was a bad position that Riley Leonard put Notre Dame's defense in, but there's 5:55 left in the game. Notre Dame can get off the field with one or 2 stops, or a stop on 1 or 2 third downs or fourth downs, and is unable to do so, and Northern Illinois kicks the game winner.
What did you think about the 62-yard field goal attempt at the end of the game?
Didn't seem like it had much of a chance. We haven't seen Mitch Jeter show that kind of a leg before. Already had a bad moment before. I don't know. I just think
the same guy blocked both field goals.
Right. So yeah, if you already that's the thing. Like when you get one long field goal blocked, it's like, well, they're going to try to do that again. And they learned something. I didn't spend a lot of time reviewing the last kick to see what happened, because I don't know. I just never felt like it was realistic for Notre Dame to get that. I don't know that they had much of a better chance at a Hail Mary, but I was a little bit surprised that was the.
I think I would have tried the Hail Mary. I would have thrown it up to Bo Collins. I mean, a guy with a 42-inch vertical jump. I mean, yeah, well, why didn't it work earlier in the game? I mean, he had 5 catches, but I mean, I would take my chances with a guy like that.
And there's a better chance of there being a defensive penalty on something too. Something could have happened to extend the game. So yeah, it was a little bit of a surprising decision to try to kick that field goal, but Notre Dame put itself in that position where it needed something crazy to happen in the final seconds and had plenty of opportunities before that to make sure that that wasn't the difference.
So I mean, we're going to be peppered with people on our message board who we love, but who don't necessarily love this outcome today. And we're going to have a Football Never Sleep show on Monday night, and I'll have a chat next Wednesday. So previewing what would you tell people in this moment, the prognosis of Notre Dame being able to be doing something in December other than Christmas shopping that's meaningful?
I mean, college football changes a lot week to week. So like crazier things have happened, right? I mean, you can have one bad week that happens for a lot of teams. I mean, look at Alabama last year, right? They almost lost to South Florida, and no one would have
Buckner starting,
and no one would have thought that they would end up being in the playoff. Now, I think obviously Notre Dame doesn't have like a lot of marquee wins potentially on its schedule, at least at this point, it seems. But if Notre Dame can run the table, who knows what happens from there? You'd think there's still a chance of the playoff if that happens. I mean, I guess there's an outside chance that it's still not enough, depending on how things play out. But things can turn around.
Right.
This isn't. It's concerning for sure. I don't think it's not. We shouldn't minimize that. Like Notre Dame should not lose a game like this. It brings doubt of what's going to happen the rest of the season, but it's not something that should be insurmountable. It could be, if used correctly, a launching point of sorts. But you coming into a season like this, coming off a win like it had at Texas A&M, you did not expect for something like that to happen. And Notre Dame's going to have to do some real soul searching to figure out why it happened and how to prevent it from happening again, because it's become too familiar for Notre Dame fans right now.
Well, here's the thing. I mean, again, the game kind of invites the big picture because people, they're upset with Riley Leonard even coming now, and they're upset with Marcus Freeman as a coach, whereas last week they were ready to coronate him into something. So for me, I think this is less about Riley Leonard, although I think Riley Leonard could be part of the solution. I'm wondering what, at this point, you're thinking about Marcus Freeman. What is your confidence level that Marcus is going to find a way to find a road to redemption that doesn't end in El Paso?
Yeah, I don't know.
Someplace like it. I'm not picking on El Paso. I'm picking on a non-playoff venue.
Yeah,
and I don't think UTEP is going to be in the playoff.
Yeah, and you somehow managed to not say Shreveport, so you get an award for that. But yeah, I mean, I don't know that my confidence is extremely high, right? I think it's hard to balance the ups with the downs during the Marcus Freeman era. There certainly have been some impressive victories. I thought people are probably getting ahead of it themselves in terms of like making out what the win at Texas A&M was to be like a program-changing victory. I think that was probably a bit overstated. And what's week one of college football without overreactions? So we'll see. Like I don't know that. Like I'm not sure that I can be tremendously confident that Marcus Freeman can win 10 games in a row, right? Like I don't like if we're talking about getting to the playoff. Now, obviously, if you manage the season with 2 losses, 3 losses, but no one's going to be satisfied with that. People within the program and people who cheer for this program spend a lot of time and money supporting it. So I don't know where things go from here. And what needs to be done to avoid situations like this. But it seems right from the outside like everything is being put in place to give Marcus Freeman the reason to not have any excuses, right? Like why can't Notre Dame avoid losses like this? Why can't Notre Dame have better game plans to overcome spunky Northern Illinois, and it takes 4 series of offense to figure out what they're doing. Like, why can't Notre Dame fool Northern Illinois for 3 series? It's just head scratching to think of like why the things you're saying about Northern Illinois and what they're able to do against Notre Dame and why it can't be in the reverse on a weekly basis for Notre Dame.
Well, what do you have to see from Marcus that would reinstate your faith that this was a good hire, that year 4 is going to be better than year 3, that this is moving in a direction that's going to end with confetti at some point or some kind of celebration or some kind of move up the college football blue blood ladder?
You just got to keep winning games. I don't know what else there is to do, right? We can't point to recruiting. Like, recruiting does not matter. It's not making a big enough difference because Notre Dame had better players than Northern Illinois did today. There's no one can argue the opposite of that. So recruiting is not the issue when you lose a game like this. So he's got to just keep winning games.
Devontae O'Malley, who was a 0-star recruit and walked on, was the most impactful defensive lineman on the field, wouldn't you say, today?
Yeah, I think that's fair. Yeah, he was getting his name announced plenty of times. So yeah,
I was sitting next to somebody named O'Malley, so it stood out more to me because I was like, okay, you need to make that kind of impact with your writing today.
Yeah, it's pretty stunning to think of like what the conversations were 7 days ago at this moment, with Notre Dame coming off of that win at A&M and now where things are now.
Well, people had them in the playoff. I mean, already guaranteed in the playoff. I still think that there's a path there, but it's very convoluted and it's very steep. Right. And it depends on many, many other circumstances that are out of their control.
Yeah, and right now, Notre Dame's fans are dealing with too much whiplash with how things seem to be going one direction and all of a sudden be going the other. So we'll see what Notre Dame can do to try to get back on track. This is just another reminder that you can't take any game for granted. And so a win at Purdue isn't guaranteed by any stretch. So we'll see what Notre Dame can do in the week leading up to answer some of the questions that became apparent in this game. And
I got one more for you then.
All right, sure. What do you got?
I got one more for you, and you can throw it right back at me, but I'll let you answer first.
Okay.
So again, I just took a little peek at my Twitter timeline and a little peek at my Facebook just because I was posting stories and it was in my face.
Yep.
And there's a lot of negative stuff about Riley Leonard, that they should go to another quarterback, that Riley Leonard experiment should be over. What is your thought about the state of the quarterback room?
I can't change my opinion after 2 games. I don't think. Right. I think Riley Leonard's the best quarterback in there right now. I don't think that Steve Angeli is going to do any better with a shaky offensive line in front of him. That's just what I think. I don't know. Maybe I would be wrong, but what does Notre Dame's offense look like if the quarterback isn't running as well? I know Steve Angeli made some nice runs against Oregon State, but I don't think that's going to be part of the game plan if he's the quarterback, in the same way that it has for Riley Leonard. I asked Marcus Freeman after the game, is running Riley Leonard too much impacting his ability to throw? I don't know. What Riley Leonard just does not look very good as a thrower right now, and I don't know the reason for that. And I'm sure taking as many hits as he does probably doesn't make that any easier. But yeah, I still think he's the quarterback to go to. I don't know. At some point, maybe you get to a point where you throw CJ Carr in there, but I don't know. I guess I think you sort of have to go to Steve Angeli next, just because he's shown tremendous determination to stay within the program and put himself in a position to earn that next chance. But I know CJ Carr is the name that everyone's like, I wonder what he could do out there. But I don't know I don't know that that's going to get you anywhere. That puts you in a significantly better position than next year. So I think you got to ride out the Riley Leonard situation. The Steve Angeli thing, if he was that good, that people seem to think he may be, like, how does someone not convince him to go into the transfer portal? Like, well, he must really love Notre Dame and being the backup quarterback, because everyone knew that's what was going to be happening, and he decided to stay at Notre Dame. So I don't know what sort of opportunities could have been out there for Steve Angeli if he entered the transfer portal, but if he's as good as everyone who wants to see him instead of Riley Leonard is, then you sort of wonder why he didn't end up in the transfer portal in the first place.
My thought on it is this, Tyler. I think you're sticking with Riley Leonard at this point. Certainly, he's one of your captains. You have a large body of work from the summer and the training camp that told you that this guy was the number one quarterback. He has the skill set that most helps an offensive line that is finding its footing and so forth. So I think you stay with him at this point. And then we'll see. But, I mentioned in my column the 3 close calls that some of their special teams had, that not special teams as in kicking, but teams that had special seasons had in game 2 at home and escaped. Now, they didn't lose like this when they escaped. 2012, 2018, and 2021. In each of those, there was an adjustment at the quarterback position in a way. In 2018, they did change quarterbacks later. They changed from Brandon Wimbush to Ian Book in game 4. In 2021, at the bye week, Brian Kelly changed how he used Jack Cohn.
Right.
He was strategically said, you know what, we need to do less. What was it? They did less huddling and so forth. They played at a faster pace. It seemed to suit him better.
Then he got rid of the ball fast.
And then in 2012, it was having a bullpen, bringing Tommy Reese in sometimes for Everett Golson. I don't think it lends itself to the 2012 edition, but maybe the way you use Riley Leonard, maybe tempo with him is a better thing. But I do think you have to look at those kind of things. And Marcus says he's going to exhaust all options, so I figure that's on the table.
Yeah, I mean, I can see having a hook for Riley Leonard if he's coming out and bouncing passes and throwing picks. Like, I think we're probably getting closer to the stage where it's like, okay, maybe we don't start someone else, but if Riley Leonard's not sharp and is costing our offense, then maybe we do yank him now. Obviously, I don't think that's ideal, but the way things are going right now at the quarterback position aren't ideal either. All right, before we get out of here, I want to remind our viewers about our partner, Autograph. You can now find Inside Indie Sports content on the Autograph app, which is free to download on Android and iOS devices and just left the beta phase this past week. There are many cool tools and features in the app, including the daily replay, which summarizes the news from the previous day with links to content you may have missed. You can download the app using the QR code at the bottom of our screen or by using the link listed in the video description. From there, go find our content in the Notre Dame community. Make sure you use referral code INDS so Autograph knows we sent you. Make sure you subscribe to our channel here on YouTube for free. Subscribe to InsideIndySports.com with a 30-day free trial using promo code NDYT. And let us know your biggest takeaways from Saturday in the comments. That's all from South Bend, and we'll see you Monday for Football Never Sleeps.